morning to everyone, and thank you for joining us at the 5th National Business Research Conference on Business Opportunities in India after COVID-19. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our eminent speaker, chief guest of the inaugural session, Dr. C.A. Abhishek Murali, the Secretary, SAFC of ICAI Chennai. Our respected Secretary and correspondents, Dr. Harishal Mehta and Sri Jasan Munno, and honorable committee members of the trust. The respected Principal, Dr. C. Murugesan, and Professor in charge, Dr. Saktivel Murugan, learned professor, my dear colleagues, delegates, research scholar, my dear students, and other dignitaries who have present from various institutions. First of all, I would like to give you a few introductory lines about our chief guest, Dr. C.A. Abhishek Murali. He is a practicing chartered accountant at Chennai, who is currently the partner of Victor Grace Company and chartered accountant and secretary of the SIRC of ICAI for 2020-21. Sir is also an All Indian first rank holder in the CMA strategy examination and All Indian 17th rank in the CIMA final examination. Sir has also secured All Indian 5th rank in the International Taxation Examination conducted by CIOT. Dr. Abhishek Murali sir is the youngest elected regional council member of the Southern India Regional Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India by securing the highest number of votes from Tamil Nadu. Sir has the honor of being the youngest elected secretary of the SIRC of ICAI. Sir is an expert in direct taxation, international taxation, litigation and appeal, valuation and due diligence, and M&A. Dr. C.A. Abhishek Murali has conducted and spoken at more than 250 seminars on direct taxes in 2019 alone. Sir is an expert in direct taxation, international taxation and appeals. Sir has many innumerable feathers in his cap for which I bow my head. Once again, I welcome you, sir, for this wonderful occasion. I take this opportunity to welcome distinguished delegates from various institutions for participating in the event. I extend a warm welcome of my dear colleagues and students of Department of Management Studies. Once again, I welcome you, sir, one and all. I am very pleased to be here today for the opening of this conference on business opportunities in India after COVID-19, organized by Department of Management Studies, DB Jain College, Chennai. The world economy has fallen to ever lowest level due to COVID-19. We cannot say how long it will take to recover. The coronavirus has a large impact on the growth of almost every country and is responsible for the slumps in GDP worldwide. Like other countries, India has its impact. To avoid the large impact of this outbreak, the Indian investors need to rethink of business strategies for getting the entire business back to normalcy. In this challenging time, the Department of Management Studies of DB Jain College, Chennai, provide the platform for intellectuals, for academicians and industries to participate in its 5th National Business Research Conference on business opportunities for Indian entrepreneurs after COVID-19. As every business challenges will bring new innovative business idea in Indian brain, we anticipate the emerging intellectual researchers to provide the solution and strategies to the business community and entrepreneurs society at large. We hope that this virtual conference will help in proposing the new set of business strategies to Indian industries. It will also help to enhance the economic growth and human well-being and prosperity of the entire nation. The main theme of this conference, Business Opportunities in India after COVID-19, will cover various sub-themes under the following areas: human resource, HR metrics and organizational performance, the equal employment opportunity, knowledge management, employees' behavior and challenges post-pandemic, succession planning, the sustainability of the organization during the post-pandemic, talent management. In marketing, the cost marketing, then customer relationship management, digital and social media marketing, service marketing, marketing communication in times of crisis, demand of the new e-marketplaces, advertising management. In finance, the investment behavior post-pandemic, behavioral finance and Eurofinance, the derivatives market, green finance, mergers and acquisition, venture capital, finance policies and institutional regulation. In information technology, the enterprise's resource planning, ICT for educational, health, finance and other sectors, technological forecasting and social changes, cyber securities in business, decision technologies and blockchain, cloud computing, artificial big data and analytical in business, tax mining and digital world in business. We have received around 43 research papers. I express my heartfelt thanks to active participation of academicians, research scholars, professionals, and students in our national conference. After the inaugural session, this conference will provide an opportunity for the researchers and practitioners to share their understanding of current process and findings. The technical session resource persons are Dr. V. Vinadayalan, Associate Professor, PG, Department of Commerce, Sri Subramania Swamy Government College, Arts College, Tirupati; Dr. S. Kanabali, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Corporate Secretariat of SA College of Arts and Science, Chennai. The valedictory address will be given by Dr. Muhammad Abdul Madar, Professor and Program Director, Business Administration Program, University of Technology and Applied Science, Sultanate of Oman. The committee welcomes innovative proposals that look to the future in the field and extend and rethink current practices. The overall program will be interesting and interactive. Thank you. Now I request our chief guest, Dr. C.A. Abhishek Murali sir, the Secretary, SIRC of ICI, Chennai, to release our conference proceedings.
Sure. I'll be happy to release the conference.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our chief guest, Dr. C.A. Abhishek Murali, Secretary, SIRC of ICI Chennai, to take over this session.
Thank you so much. Very warm good morning to one and all present here. The Secretary of Administration, Dr. Harish Mehta, Conference Convener, Dr. A. Narmada, Principal in Charge, Dr. C. Murugesan, the very dynamic Professor in Charge, Dr. M. Shaktivel Murugan, all the other dignitaries, coordinators, on and off the dais, and of course, my dear friends in the audience. It gives me great pleasure and privilege to be here to deliver the keynote address on this important national conference organized by the very prestigious D.B. Jain College. The theme for the conference is business opportunities in India after COVID. So therefore, it's the best time to have this because vaccinations are now being made available. Even though we are discussing of a third wave, it is expected that if you are vaccinated, you can prevent yourself from this. So therefore, we have to forget the days of the problems and look towards the days of opportunities, my dear friends. You see, as far as financial professionals are concerned, commerce-oriented background people are concerned, or someone who's not from a tech background, you ask them what ABCD was. They used to say A is for accounting, B is for balance sheet, C is for cash flow, D is for debit credit. Now when you ask them what is ABC, they'll say A is artificial intelligence, B is blockchain, C is cloud computing, and D is data mining. My dear friends, increasingly there is a shift in the mindset of people. Thanks to COVID, ushering computers has become a natural progression. Today, if you don't know how to use the iPad or computers or basic facilities, then you are not able to do your day-to-day functions. You will either not get a job or you will not be involved in whatever you are doing. And companies have also stood to benefit. Let us take the example of Japan. You see, Japan has a very severe working culture. It is one of the countries in the world which has the most stressful work hours, where people work almost every day for 12 hours. We all see Japan with a fascination, but this is one of the biggest challenges Japan is facing. So in Japan, they had a big issue. When people used to be unwell, let us assume I come into the office with a fever. If I go and tell them, sir, I am having a fever, can I work from home? People used to frown upon it, as if you are taking 3-4 days off, they used to behave. When you said, I want to work from home itself. That same Japan due to COVID today has started encouraging employees to work from home. Because as a company, as corporates, they have started seeing large profits in this. So therefore, you can see there's a trend of shifting away from human-driven services to computer-driven approach because they are able to monitor. They are able to get the same level of turnover and sales for minimal costs. They don't have to pay the rent. They don't have to pay electricity charges. They don't have to pay for support staff or to clean the office, etc. Your water tax, property tax, everything comes down. So I think every company suddenly has started waking up to this. So therefore, there is an interesting discussion which is there today. Is there any role for humans, unless you are in a specified field, is there a role for you in today's economy, in the future economy? Now, most of you here, including the professors, teachers, everyone, use either Facebook, Twitter, Instagram or TikTok. One of these you all use. Most of us use all of them, but at least one of these everyone uses. Now, I'll tell you a practical example. You can try it yourself. I have personally tried it. You can also try it. You just say the name of a product or a place when that app is open. Keep Facebook open and just say, oh, I want to go to Alaska. I'm thinking of visiting some really cold place. Where can I go? I like snow a lot. Like that, simply you have a conversation, not with your phone, with the people around you. Don't you choose some place you'll never go to. I chose Alaska. Like that, you can choose something. Maybe you want to choose Jammu and Kashmir. Maybe you want to choose Africa. You choose where you want to go. Just have a regular conversation around your phone. Suddenly you start seeing in the next 3-4 days, you will be getting advertisements. Get cheap tickets to go to Alaska. Find the snowy destination places to visit in the next 10 days at the cheapest prices. My dear friends, nor have I searched for any of these places, nor have I asked my phone, nor have I asked Google. Nowhere have I ever input these things other than a discussion that I have had around my phone. But that is how artificial intelligence is working today. Your phone is capturing the information that you are talking with them. And then they are making advertisements that will suit your needs. Oh, this is what they are discussing, so therefore artificial intelligence computes. They are thinking of Alaska, they are thinking of cold places. Let us give suggestions of cold places. Let us give ticket prices to Alaska. So that in the hope, suddenly you will book a ticket and they will get a commission on whatever sale you are making. So that's how far artificial intelligence has gone today, my dear friends. Now, I gave you a simple example of your travel. What about frauds? You see, financial fraud is a big issue today. So having persons who are experts in it, forensic experts, experts in detecting frauds, etc., is a very, very key area of business today. So how will technology help in these kind of issues? I give you another example. Your Satyam scandal, India's biggest corporate scandal in the history of India was the Satyam scandal, which happened in 2008. Now, when Satyam happened, there was a lot of big issues where they said fixed deposits of the company, as per the books of accounts, was 3,000 something crores. In reality, the actual fixed deposit was only 3 crores. More than 3,300 crores of fixed deposit was fake. It was a false deposits. And this was not found by professionals. It was not found by employees who are so well qualified who are working inside the company. The auditors could not find it. Internal auditors could not find it. Outside investors could not find it. And then suddenly it was the old managing director who had to blow the whistle saying that I feel like I'm riding on a tiger and I'm scared I will fall off and the tiger will eat me. This is what he said in his letter when he disclosed that there is a fraud. So my dear friends, the next question, could this have been prevented? If we had blockchain in 2007, 2008 or even before when these frauds were committed, the blockchain would have easily checked and verified if the numbers were provided in these books and as per the bank match or not. It was said match as per bank it is only 3 crores. How your financials is saying 3,000 crores? The computer would have pointed out in a matter of seconds, my dear friends. That is the reality when it comes to things like artificial intelligence and cloud computing. We'll take one more practical example. You ask your father's generation, this is my father's generation of people. Computers was not commonplace till the mid-1990s. Only in around 1994, 1995, computers started coming into all the workplaces in all offices in India. I still remember my uncle was holding a management position in one of South India's biggest companies at the time. And when they had introduced computers, I was a child at the time. I still remember he was discussing in the household, saying that all the employees are striking. They are all protesting in my office that we are bringing in computers. They think we are removing them from the job. So they are all scared that we are removing them from the job. But today, my dear friends, you can tell, both you and I and your parents and everyone knows that a computer is used as a tool. It is not the be-all and all. It does not replace you. Suppose you are saying 10,000 line items are there. I will use the calculator only. I will not use a computer. Then definitely your job will be replaced. But if you are sensible, you will say, I will use Excel. I will use Microsoft Access. I will go and use the cloud computing tools and I will do the work. Then, my dear friends, the computer is assisting you to take decisions. It is not replacing you. So therefore, that brings me to my ultimate point. You see, in the post-COVID economy, you are going to see a shift of people and shift of companies employing persons who have the experience to use tools effectively to deliver what are their ultimate goals, my dear friends. And as far as you and I are concerned, we must gear ourselves up with the latest technology tools, whether you like it or not. I've heard people say, especially in my parents' generation, a lot of people say, I don't know, I don't want to do it. This is not for me, technology is not for me. We have to forget that dialogue, saying it is not for me, and assume everything is for me. We must definitely adopt it as a successful tool in turning the challenge into an opportunity. You see, my dear friends, I'll take a final example of Cadbury. You see, in around 2003 or 2004, I was still in school at the time, Cadbury faced a huge issue in India. Multiple advertisements came in the newspaper, a lot of newspaper articles, where 2 or 3 people, when they were opening their Cadbury chocolate, inside they found worms. Worms were there inside their chocolate. This became a very big issue at the time. So, worms are there in Cadbury chocolate. Because 3 or 4 people found it. So it was in the paper, government started investigation, a lot of issues happened. Finally, when they found out what the issue was, it turned out that the stockist, whoever had purchased the Cadbury from the manufacturer, he did not store the chocolates properly, and because of that, worms went off inside the chocolate. So it was not at all Cadbury's fault. But unfortunately, by then damage was done. It was already in all the national papers, everything, public were talking about it, nobody was buying Cadbury. So now Cadbury had 2 options. They could either, one, take huge legal action against all the people who are saying Cadbury is bad. They can sue the newspapers, they can sue all the companies, they can sue each person. Or they took an alternative strategy. What did Cadbury do? Cadbury said, let us market as if we are resolving it. So you see there is a gold paper foil in Cadbury. Today if you buy dairy milk, it will have a gold paper foil inside it. That gold paper foil is unique to India. It is not there anywhere else in the world. You buy the same dairy milk in England, you buy it in US, you buy it in Australia. You will not find that gold paper foil. It is unique to India because of this issue. So they said, henceforth on all the chocolate will have gold paper foil. So nothing will go inside. Worms will not go, insects will not go, snake also will not go inside. Nothing can happen. Your chocolate is protected. Then they, at the time, Amitabh Bachchan was the most trustworthy face in India. So they employed him. They did a market study to see who's the most trustworthy face. They got him. They got him to accompany his granddaughter. With his granddaughter, they used to walk into the Cadbury factories and they used to take the chocolate from the conveyor belt when it is getting manufactured. They used to take it and he used to give it to his granddaughter and she used to eat it. So they completely changed the marketing phase, saying, see, we are taking so many precautions. We have completely changed it. We have the safest chocolate. That marketing worked so well that the Cadbury, which was not selling at all, suddenly after this marketing, people started feeling, oh, Cadbury is only safe. Other people don't have gold foil. Other people don't have Amitabh Bachchan. So therefore, we should all buy Cadbury. Cadbury sales became higher than ever before. People stopped buying their competitors' products also because they assumed that it is not as safe as Cadbury. Look at how they changed it. Cadbury was in a case where nobody was buying it, they could go out of business in India. And in a matter of 6 months, suddenly they have become the most popular chocolate of the country, selling more than ever before. A perfect example of taking a challenge and turning it into an opportunity, my dear friends. This COVID economy is going to be driven by that. You have to start taking these challenges. You have to start taking a situation. You and I may not be comfortable with computers, but we have to learn. We have to see how to use it effectively. And once we do, you will start finding your output, your efficiency, and your ultimate product and your deliverable that you are giving either your clients, your office superiors, or even your own friends and relatives will be much better than ever before. So COVID is definitely a very challenging period, but you will find multiple opportunities are going to come out of it, my dear friends. So I am sure all of you are on the right path. Attending a national conference organized like this is very, very important in either creating awareness for yourself, your families, or even your students if your faculty is over here. So I wish you all the very, very best. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be here. Take care and stay safe. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable points. These points must be maybe very helpful to young and energetic research scholars to give a valuable research work and also help us to improve our country's economy. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks for the national conference, the business opportunities in India after COVID-19, organized by Department of Management Studies, PB Jain College. I would like to express my profound gratitude of our chief guest, Dr. C. Abhishek Murali, Secretary, SIRC of ICAI Chennai, for his inspiring speech to address the gathering. We are also extremely grateful to our Secretary and correspondents, Dr. Harshil Mehta and Sri Jaswant Munot, and honorable committee members of the Trust. I would like to extend a special thanks for our principal, Dr. C. Murugesan, and Dr. Saktivel Murugan sir, professor in charge, for their valuable guidance and support for organizing this conference. I take this opportunity to extend our gratitude to the distinguished panel of speakers, delegates from various institutions, distinguished participants and guests for participating in the event. I would like to thank our organizing committee member and all my colleagues who have been involved in the particular exercise for the last several months for this overwhelming of success. Once again, and thank you one and all. Thank you.